Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing great. Welcome to this Yoseka unboxing episode where we will be taking a look and unboxing the Kakimori Pen Nib. And so this item was actually released along with Kakimori's brass nib and their steel nib and like their whole dip nib collection last year, but we were just able to get these pen nibs in. So this is the packaging. It's the same consistent packaging as all the other nib packaging that Kakimori produces. So they all come in this kind of like slate gray cardboard paper, very simple like paper folded packaging, and you just open it. But I actually have one that is already out of the box here. And so this is the nib. I'm going to take it out just to show you because this is what you get when you first get the nib, and it is just a nib. So just like when you get a fountain pen, you have the body of the pen and the nib of the pen, and then actually usually the nib has like that black plastic part in the back. Usually that's called the feed, but this is just the nib by itself. So the feed is actually what holds all of the ink in a fountain pen, and it's what, you know, feeds the ink to the tip of the pen. So what you get when you just have this plate of metal is simply the top of the nib, and what that means is basically you can dip this into ink and it'll be really, really easy to clean since you don't have to clean in between all those little ridges of the feed. And so this is the Kakimori Sakura wood holder, and it has this little tip over here where you can easily insert the nib into, just like that, and it's a pretty tight fit, so you have to like push it in and it holds it really securely. But this is like really nice, and it comes with, you know, this nice wood. It's like this beautiful Japanese cherry wood, so it is like a little bit pricier in terms of like how much pen nib holders are, so this actually fits into standard nib holders as well. Okay, so we're gonna give this a try and just kind of see like how this differs exactly from their other nibs. And I actually brought with me today 3 different inks. I have 3 different Manyo inks, 3 of my favorite colors, the Yomogi, Akebi, and Ukikusa from the Manyo collection. And so we're just gonna be dipping into these 3 and seeing like how quickly, how easily I can change between these 3 different inks as I go. All right, so first up is the Yomogi, and I'll just dip in. And since there's no feed, I'm not really expecting to be able to write for a really long time, but we'll see how long. And then this is the MD notebook in their dot grid. It's like a 5 millimeter grid. So we'll be able to see how fine these characters can get too. So let's see. All right, so we'll do, oh, okay. So that's actually fine because, yeah, this is much finer than I think like their brass and their steel nibs go. And so you get, you know, this pen is probably better for writing than the brass and the steel nib, which let a little more ink out at a time. So this is like slightly more controlled and probably a finer line. But since you don't have the grooves going down the nib of the pen, and then this is just the nib and not the feed, you are going to find yourself having to go back and dip quite often if you're sitting down and like writing a letter with this. But it's pretty good, like, because even now I'm like towards the end of my dip, but I can still write. Oh, there's when I just ran out. So that's kind of like the beginning of one dip and the end of one dip. So I'll probably get to like do like a sentence in between dips. And so That's pretty good, and I definitely feel like this nib is a little bit better suited for writing than, say, the brass nib, which is, it's more expressive and, you know, it makes thicker lines, like some thick, some not so thick. It's like less consistent in the brass nib. So, all right. And just like that, I cleaned it just by dipping it into water and then just drying it off with a paper towel. And I dipped it into another ink. And so it's able to switch between inks really, really easily. And if I really was like trying very hard, I would be able to like write, "Good morning. It is Sunday. Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day." To all the moms. So yeah, like I can definitely sit down and like write sentences with this one and write actually in this 5mm grid or whatever, which would be more difficult to do for sure with the other nibs. I almost feel like as you're writing, like it feels like you're writing with a fountain pen as opposed to a glass nib, or like if you're writing with the brass nib or the stainless steel Kakimori nib. Those have a different feeling than a fountain pen, but because you're writing with this, and it's made of stainless steel, I don't know if I mentioned that, but because you're writing with this nib, you definitely feel more like you're writing with a fountain pen. And then I'm gonna use this last ink over here, the Ukikusa, and just like I'm switching between these inks so quickly. And that's what's nice about this nib, is that it allows you to be able to do that. And I feel like the wetter the pen is, the wetter the nib is, the more writing you're getting out of it. So like with each dip that I do, like it might last me a little bit longer. I don't know if that's just like in my head or something. Yeah. I definitely like the control of this. And if I had to approximate like a nib size for this, which people do ask me to do, I would say this is like ranging between like at the first dip, like over here, this is probably like when you first dip the pen, this is probably like a medium nib. And then as you keep on writing, and your ink is like slightly running out a little bit, that's probably more of like a fine nib. But you're definitely not gonna be getting any like extra fine lines here. It's not really like an extra fine precision kind of situation, but it is like a fine to a medium. Okay. And then I'm just gonna clean this off. I have like this jar of water next to me and I'm just dipping in as I go. And you can see I've just dipped it into the water and it is pretty much clean because there's no feed. So it's really, really easy. You just simply dip it and there's no more ink anywhere on the pen. And then Kakimori just advises you, like when you're done with these nibs, what you want to do is just pull the nib out from the nib holder if you can. Oh my god, it's like so sharp. Ow. It's very tight, but yeah, you can pull it out of there and you just kind of, because a little bit of the water gets into the base over here and a little bit of the water gets into the holder, so you just want to like shake it out to dry. You want to make sure it dries thoroughly over here, and you don't want like water sitting in there because that might damage the wood. And you just kind of want to let it air dry and just completely dry out before you put it away for storage or anything like that. And that's it. That is the Kakimori stainless steel pen nib, dipped in 3 different colors, writing in this 5mm grid. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this unboxing and you know, maybe decide that this might be the right pen nib for you if you're somebody who likes to write like one letter or one journal entry in lots of different ink colors, and you don't want to have to constantly be like washing your pen out in between each ink switch. All right, thank you so much for watching.